Hello, and welcome to another episode of Meandering. The series in which I meander around maps, basically reviewing them for a friend of mine. Today we're looking at Korpstone, which is, I was going to call it a gray box map, but it's more like a checker box map. Seems like a pretty simple four-square layout. I'm going to start off with A side because that seems simpler. Taking the long route from the T perspective. Got a little bell tower here, a little bit of detailing thought early. Some boxes and corners to, get yourself wedged in for, utility time. It's quite a lot of running, and before we reach a main over here. Speaking of a main over here, is there movement? If you're good enough, I think you might be able to airstrafe onto this, but that doesn't really provide much value other than an off angle on a CT or not. The real point is you swing out here and start taking fights on sight. We have this double door here, which we'll look at later. But we come out of here and then we have to fight for sight control. Sight is pretty simple with the cover. I think there's a lot of solid cover. They actually give you options. You have slight elevation and decrease, adjustment, I could say, as you're getting ready to peek a guy who's playing CT. Speaking of CT, they're over here. Yep. So someone comes out here, goes straight. Pretty easy to get posted on like an off angle to hold the sight. Very simple log. Got a chunk of double doors, looks like. Got a ladder here. I fully expected this to be like a staircase. Like, I entirely expected a thin boiler style area from Inferno. There is a gap in the middle of this. I'm assuming this is not intentional. But if it is intentional, that's funny. And it's probably bad, but it's funny. And I just want to see. Yep, the fact that there's paint shows that you can't. So it will remain solid and whatnot. Not even explosives. Okay. Apartments area, we'll get back to this later. It appears to lead in the mid. Just looking at sight, this shit feels very difficult to do much about on the very first peek. I have this, and it feels like a bit of a long angle. You can play trim around here. As well as someone playing around this as well. A little tough, but nothing, a flash or two can't help to remedy as you're swinging at the sight. Interesting. Don't have many. You just have this one round if you don't take mid control. This seems like something that you would bot underscore stop one, bot underscore add. You'd boost onto, and then probably boost onto again to try and get a semblance of stuff done. It's just the feeling I get. Yeah, it's a fine site. It's got a couple of cubbies that CTs could play that you have to be mindful of. Doing this as a T, right? I'm gonna peek, take a fight with this guy, and anyone kind of around these angles, which are kind of annoying. Probably gonna want to honestly just throw a smoke. Either one that lands here, or two that land kind of deeper in, like right here, and actually, and right here. If you want to try and take a bit more deep control. But this is enough to let you kind of work your way up. It wouldn't be too hard to throw, just kind of get stuck in this corner and high enough. You could probably find the exact lineup, but it's definitely like possible to get one to land right here. And you can probably tuck in here, default plant, or here. It's a bit more open if I do it here. Yeah, perfect. There's a gap in this box. That's something to keep in mind. We're sitting around here. The fact you cannot jump up here is very interesting. There's like an elevated area that can't be accessed later. Which, I mean, I'm assuming there's a reason for it, but it feels like I should be able to jump up here. Just the lack of movement seems not ideal. But overall, kind of a drab site. Very, very plain. The actual cover on the site itself is fine, but this long lane area right here and taking fights around this feels awkward. I feel like there should be like this area right here feels like it should be like a wall and an archway, and this statue thing should be like a large pillar connecting over here as like an archway, and you have a nice, you're fighting around trying to blow up this whatever bridge, kind of like overpass. That's from like a story perspective, and from a gameplay perspective, the idea is that this is just like a large cover that extends further out. And it would be more solid to play around. It would get rid of some angles that I think are a little non-ideal, and would help with the structural line a little, make it feel a bit less overwhelming as you're coming into the area. CT perspective we already kind of covered when thinking about the angles you just have to worry about. Let's take a look at B, and we'll talk about placing props to adjust stuff later. Route to B, we have Over here, this appears to be a boost. Kind of not a fan of this, requiring a boost, because it seems kind of like an essential thing you're doing every single round. The idea is, like, what this does from a mechanical perspective is you're slowing down a player, right? Because, oh, someone has to get boosted. You could just make it so that the one player who is, going through this route gets slowed down by making this route a bit more obtuse, like, making movement be from here, right? Or, something to crouch through that's more awkward. But essentially, by requiring this to be a boost, all you're doing is slowing down a player, instead of making it very annoying having to ask for someone to boost, and then for what feels, at least at first glance, kind of like an essential way to hit B site, just making it so that one player sacrifices time on their own instead of having someone else sacrifice time for them. It's just kind of a minor psychology thing, where it's easier to, sacrifice something for yourself as opposed to asking someone else to do it. Kind of a banana-y area, very curvy, leads to site. There's the upper area as well. Yeah, without this upper area, you have this one tiny choke that an opera is going to be very easily posted on. Obviously, flashes can attempt to help, but it's very easy to post on this site. Again, kind of big, simple. I don't dislike it, though. I do feel like this whole entire area right here, you could smooth this out and get rid of this cubby. Like, we already have a cubby here. Do we need this as well? This feels like a bit much. I think just helping to smooth out areas, minimize pain points. Like, we already, slipped off this corner, so we're aware that, this can be annoying. These are for visuals, right? No, they're not. Okay, I'm concerned. I feel like that might be awkward to fight against having two windows like this, especially with the slightly open, so the prop is weird. Like, oh, I lied. You don't actually have to fight. It is purely for utility. Okay. It does look like it might not be. Yeah, that's fine. Apartments area. It connects back into mid. Yeah. So this area is all essential. You can come from here as well. Once again, one-way drop for, like, these elevated mid-related side paths, similar to what happened at A, where, I added this box, otherwise, it's just one way. There is another way, but it takes, like, longer, than you have to take this ladder. We could consolidate this into a staircase that you just kind of go up and to the left of, and then you go forward, right? I don't think we need all this extra stuff. It's just annoying. Mid, we'll look at in a bit, but it looks like a standard 4 square, and at very first glance I get Mirage vibes, but we'll come back to that. Yeah, coming out of B, angles. Got this to worry about. All site, not that bad. If I have a teammate coming out here, right, it isn't the worst. Maybe consider opening up some of these areas for more utility being thrown. It would be nice for these indoor areas to throw some more supportive utility. Just like a common belief I have for a lot of maps. Here it is. There's no need for it to exist. It's just kind of annoying. It looks fine, but come on, I mean, it. Go around this area. We already looked at a good chunk of site. We have decent cover to play around, actually, for site itself. It's just that a lot of areas like this feel kind of overbearingly empty, and getting posted on an off angle like this just feels obscenely long. So if I just walk out a little to the left, a little more, yeah, it's over 2,000 hammer units. Having an angle like this feels a bit much, especially because it's not like a skinny angle, right, that you can jump past, sort of like Dust 2 mid doors, or that one op angle on Mirage that uppers get pushed up on a CT. No, this is like a main route that I'm going to be continually walking down, and it's a very wide, place that someone could choose to hold for that long engagement. So literally just placing something here, I think, does wonders for this area, because you can still get aggressive with the op, like around, this area, right? You can still post, and if you wanted to, you can also get a bit more aggressive and post like this, and you also have different elevations as well, right? But you're getting rid of what I feel like is a massive pain point, which is this angle right here, and it actually just feels so much nicer. You still have a strong op angle, right, through this, right? That is solid, but it doesn't feel as obscene in my mind. And it helps make the site feel a little easier to push. That's just first glance. Once again, just kind of slope off this area. We don't need it like that. So this is pretty fine. I don't know why, but I feel like this should be like an archway, like a double arch, sort of like Mirage Catwalk. This isn't necessary at all. It's just a feeling I get. Is there no clip up there? I think there might be, but this is the feeling I get from this area, where it would benefit from doing something like this from a visual perspective, and from a gameplay perspective, having a bit of cover. This would probably be a bit thicker, but it would just making these angles feel a bit better. Having a proper curved arch, make this a little wider maybe, you know, just the spacing. Specifics of it would be different, but I think would lead to more engaging angles as I'm coming up here. It feels like I have a lot, especially as a headshot angle. Having this to kind of maneuver around and maybe like jump up, right? It just feels a lot better. Maybe place something right here to also help with like jumping up, so you don't have to just go up the staircase. Some simple ideas for B site. This area back here feels, if you just slope this off, feels a lot better in my opinion. And I think we could also consider giving tees a bit more options in this platform area, because right now we just have this cubby. But I feel like you could get away with one. I think you definitely need to make this like accessible, right? So a CT can also like push up here, right? And in later rounds, Ts are able to not just one-way drop. This probably helps CTs more than Ts, but it feels better. And just making this area wider, right? Because of the adjusted contact point, so Ts have a bit of a better time on this. I wonder how mid factors into this. Lately, I haven't been really checking timings because I can't be bothered to. I might start doing that again during the quote-unquote Renaissance. I haven't really started the Renaissance. I mentioned it in DMs to the guy I make this to, but I don't know. I'll think of it more later. Anyways, mid. I'm gonna focus more on the meandering than being real for now on, I think is the thing. Yeah, very Mirage vibes. This feels like that. I can let it be. This is CT. I don't like this area. This is very long, large. Make this skinny. You know, nice simple doorway. Honestly, we could get away with a little bit of this. You know, as much as I hate to do it, this unironically feels better. Like it's so cramped and objectively terrible. But getting rid of this angle and just making this look like this feels nicer. Just have CTs can still kind of like hold this area, right? However, they would need to play it in a real way, and I think maybe just leaving a piece of cover around here isn't bad, and you could have them play around this. This is quite the long angle. I feel like you could, you know, maybe consider adjusting this area to not have that. It's very, there's a lot of clipping, but yeah, sort of like this, I feel like helps the area. Just, it'd probably be larger. Oh, I gotta go closer, but there we go. You can still get an angle if you get like this, but I don't like how large the angle was earlier, and I think just helping to isolate like an angle just makes this a lot nicer. Especially if you're rotating through here, you already have like this kind of egregious, like strong egregious fight. We don't need so many. It's already hard to take this fight as it is. So now we peek into this guy, right, and then we have some cover, and we can scale, and it doesn't feel as shit. And I'll be doing all this jump, you know, wouldn't be a part of it, but it could be, probably shouldn't. But yeah, mid rotates. You can go through this lower area as well, and this brings you to this little smorgasbord. Is fine, is cool. You know, use that as you will on a T side split. You're probably gonna throw smoke that lands around here. Scale how you want. On T side, CTs, you know, you have this area. This is like how they would get mid. And playing around this area isn't like terrible. Maybe consider making this area a larger piece of cover. And this might make this angle a bit weird, but I honestly don't care because I like having more cover for a player who wants to play around this. It might cut this off angle that existed sort of slightly, but I don't care. Yeah, this was Korpstone. I looked at every aspect of the map. I kind of glossed over this route, but this does lead back in the middle. You could go straight and then come onto this platform. Maybe